Yo, what is going on, you guys? It is Cusco, and I am finally back here with another video. And today I am bringing you guys a nasty build. Trust me, you guys are gonna want to stick around to watch this. I'm sure you've already seen a little bit of it in the beginning of the video, but you're gonna see the entire run in a little bit. But I'm gonna go over the build right now, just so that you guys can get an idea of what skill points I decided to use and what weapons I decided to use, what anointments I decided to use, before you see how much damage output you can actually do with this build. Alright, so starting off with my main weapon of choice, we're going to go with the Plague Bearer. You can get this from the Warden on Eden 6 in the Anvil at basically the end of the map. It's not too hard to get to, you just throw on a Snowdrift. You can get to him fairly quickly, but it is a pain in the butt to farm. He doesn't drop too many of these, and when he does, the anointment that you want is the 300% weapon damage against enemies above 90% health. And the reason why you want this anointment on this gun is because it creates side pellets almost like the Scourge, and these side pellets do an insane amount of damage. And you want this so that you can one-tap most of the enemies that you're fighting and most of the bosses that you're fighting as well. And this is basically the anointment that the build is based off of, so of course you're going to want a yellow cake with that same anointment on it. This isn't a ×2 yellow cake, I still need a farm for that. However, this is still a yellow cake, so it's still going to do really well, and you only need it to shoot through Wotan's shields, really. So that's the main reason why you have that in the build, and you don't really need another 2 guns. The only other gun I would recommend using just to make the top half of Wotan easier to kill is probably an ion cannon. And again, with the ion cannon, make sure that you get that 300% increased weapon damage against enemies above 90% health, because you're going to want to do that one-shot damage with that critical hit damage on Fl4k. And then for the 4th weapon slot, you could throw almost anything in there. You can throw a Nukem in there. Make sure, again, it has that anointment on it. But moving on to the shield, I've tried a ton of shields, and yes, I have tried out the new stopgap. I've gotten multiple of these, and to be honest, when you get rid of the 50% ASE off of your shield or your grenade, you really start to notice that damage drop off, and you really start to get rid of that one-shot potential that you used to have. So that's the main reason why I don't really run the stopgap anymore. And I have tried using the stopgap with the ASE anointment on this build, and it just doesn't work as well as the transformer does, because there's a lot of enemies that do electricity damage in this game. So you'll notice that instead of taking damage from enemies, you'll just be healing from enemies, and that's a big benefit with this build, because you don't have too much survivability. You basically just want to kill everything before it kills you. And moving on to our class mod, you're going to want to choose the Bounty Hunter class mod because of the 3% chance to activate any of the purchase of the hunt skills, and I'll show you when this comes in handy against killing Wotan. And I'll show you guys when this comes in handy killing Wotan. But the perks that you want on this is weapon critical hit damage, weapon damage, and the third one doesn't really matter. You can get magazine size. I think it's only like 20% magazine size on class mods, or 23% magazine size on class mods, but I like action skill cooldown rate. Make sure that I have my Rakk attack most of the time. Moving on, of course, Pearl of Ineffable Knowledge with 50% magazine size and health regeneration just for that extra survivability. And finally, onto the grenade, you're going to want to run a Hunter Seeker. You mainly want to get a double divider perk on your Hunter Seeker, but I don't have that yet, and that's alright, because the one divider perk is going to be fine. As long as it splits into 2 and isn't just one Hunter Seeker drone, you're fine. And of course you want to get ASE, and for the recommended ASEs on your shield and your grenade, I would go for Incendiary and Shock. It doesn't matter which is on which, just as long as you have Incendiary and Shock. I've tried other ones. I've tried Cryo, I've tried Radiation, I've tried Corrosion, but you want the shock damage for the Valkyries, and you want the incendiary damage for for all of the flesh enemies. That way you can one tap them. I will probably post this in the description down below, that way you guys can have this character if you really want it. And this is only for PC characters. I'm sorry there isn't a way to give any console players any save files, but in the future, if there is, I will make sure to come back to this video and put it in the description down below. But with that being said, let's move on to the skill tree that I have set up. Second Intention, you don't really need this because that is a very small reload speed bonus, and you mainly want to put your points into Leave No Trace and Interplanetary Stalker. So with this class mod on, you have a 3% chance to activate any of those Purchase of the Hunt skills, which means that it can activate this skill. So you want to make sure that you max this skill out, because with that 10% bonus damage, you can stack that up to 3 times. That is 30% damage with only 3 kills, and you don't even have to get the kills. 30% gun damage with just activating a skill. If you have a multi-pellet gun, which we are running the Plague Bearer, and that is a multi-pellet gun because you have multiple pellets hitting multiple enemies, so the chances of that activating is very high. You'll see when we kill Wotan, we're going to make sure that we want to activate this, that way we can get the bonus damage. Moving on to Hunter's Eye, I only have 2 points in this. I did try flopping these 2 perks right here, Hunter's Eye and Ambush Predator, having 2 in Ambush Predator and 5 in Hunter's Eye, but I did do a little bit less damage. And head count, you do want at least 1 point in this, because you will realize that if you don't have 1 point in this, that you will run out of your Rakk attacks fairly often, and you don't want to run out of your Rakk attacks because that's where you're putting out that 100% ASE from your grenade mod and your shield. So just keep that in mind. The next 5 points go into Two Fang. Of course, you want those extra projectiles because we're going to be shooting single projectile weapons, which is the yellow cake and the and the rocket launcher, essentially doubling our damage output. However, if you have a ×2 of the yellow cake, it won't, the chance for the extra projectile won't shoot out another ×2 prefix. It will just shoot out another bullet, making it a ×3 yellow cake. Any weapons that have multiple pellets, say you have a ×25 stagecoach, if you have, say you have a class mod that gives you 3 points into Two Fang, that doesn't really do anything for you, only for the fact that you're only getting 1 pellet out of the 25. You're not getting a chance for every single one of those pellets to create an extra pellet. You're only getting 1 more pellet, creating 26 pellets. That's why Two Fang really only comes into handy when you have really strong single pellet weapons like Unseen Threat. Sandhawk is a really strong single pellet weapon. It shoots a lot. You could shoot it in full auto as well, giving you a chance to get multiple duplicates of your Hawk. Any rocket launcher in general, Ion Cannon. Ion Cannon works really well with the extra projectile. And then moving down, you want to make sure that you put max points into Big Game, because this is going to increase your hunter skill duration and your hunter skill effects. This is going to help you kill Wotan and make sure you can mob a lot of enemies when you have to reload, because if you did not have this on, the reload time on rocket launchers is so long that by the time you reload and get another bullet out of the back burner, you most likely won't have any of your perks, and you're just gonna have to get all of your kill skills activated again with that magazine. Moving on to the most dangerous game. This is one of the best kill skills that you can have, so make sure that you put as many points as you can into this. I have 3 points from my class mod, as you can see, so it makes it up to 50% gun damage, 20% critical hit damage, and all of these other bonus stats. And I put 1 point into Galactic Shadow, just for that extra critical hit damage. And of course you need Megavore. The pet that you want in this, of course, is movement speed, critical hit damage, so you're going to want the Gunslinger Jabber in the green skill tree. You don't need any points in the blue skill tree, because normally if you're going to put any in there, you would put in action skill duration. However, we're using Rakk attack, so action skill duration doesn't really affect us, and that 4% gun damage isn't really anything. We're going to put 3 points into self-repair system just for that health regen, 5 points into furious attack because this is a hunter skill, and we do love our hunter skills, and you're going to get this every single time you shoot an enemy, so it's just that bonus damage that you're always going to have. You're going to want 3 points into fire rate, which is overclocked perk, and I only have one in Eager to Impress just so that I don't run out of Rakk attacks. Like I was saying before, if you don't have any points in head count, then you're not going to have your Rakk attack often enough to get that 100% ASE from your shield and your grenade mod. Moving down the skill tree, we have Turn Tail and Run. We maxed this out because we're always going to be moving, so you always want that health regen, and when you're standing still, you want that gun damage. That's for the yellow cake. The next 5 points go into Hidden Machine, and this is because you need that extra 30% damage when enemies aren't looking at you. Say if they were fighting your jabber, you can do that extra damage and you'll one-shot them or increase your one-shot damage potential. We love our movement speed, so of course we're going to max this out, and it gives us 25% gun damage, so that's also a great addition. The next one we put points into is health regeneration. You only need 2 because we're just going to do a lot of damage. You don't really need a lot of health regeneration if you do a lot of damage. And of course you're going to want to get the last perk, that way you can get 2 capstones, the power inside, that way you get that increased damage from this perk every time you activate your action skill, which is every time I throw my Rakk attack. So for Mayhem Modifiers, the best modifiers for Fl4k in general, does not matter which build you have, for Fl4k in general, these 2 modifiers, the easy modifier and the very hard modifier. You want big kick energy because gun damage is increased by 25% and recoil is increased by 100%. However, this doesn't matter because we're using rocket launchers, so you're not really going to notice that increase in 100% weapon spread and 100% in weapon recoil. So that's a plus without having a negative effect really to your character. Like I said, medium and hard don't really matter. The very hard modifier, you want holy crit. This is because this increases your critical damage, and Fl4k, he has Megavore, so basically that's an increase in critical hit damage, which is basically all you're going to be hitting with your side pellets, with a reduction of non-critical hit damage. That reduction of non-critical hit damage doesn't really matter at all because we're only going to be doing critical hit damage really with this rocket launcher build, and the pellets that aren't doing critical hit damage aren't going to necessarily matter just because there are so many pellets that are doing critical hit damage. I'll show you guys my Guardian rank. You guys can pause the video right now if you want to see everything that I have. And I will have this character in the description down below, just letting you know. We're just going to get right into it. I'm going to show you guys the entire run through Takedown. I'm just going to let you see the entire run. You can hear what I was saying. You can hear my reaction because this thing is actually really, really good. Yeah, baby. We're going crazy.
Go now.
Quite the run, dude.
I will see you again.
Quite the run, Jacob. Oh my god.
Oh, you got it. Max, but we're after something bigger. Keep going.
I'm taking the jump. Oh, I missed the fucking button, dude. Shit. It's alright.
Slaughter to remember. Rakk's up my sleeve. Eat the tendons first. It's good for your beak.
I'm taking the jump, I'm taking the jump, I'm taking the jump. I made it! Let's fucking go, baby. I did what I said I would. I hit the rails. I went through, baby.
Oh no, he's gonna go.
No! Under all that brawn, you're still dead. Do you see me? Dead. Oh. Swoop and tear. Fall and be reborn to the hunt. Thrill of the hunt!
Oh, baby, time to kill Wotan. Baby, let me kill this guy.
Definitely your target. Light that giant bastard up.
War! Many to count. Takedown.